Hi guys, Gareth here and welcome to this Vino Plunk production and welcome to a bit of a different video from me. So as I've said in the previous video, recently the bed that used to be here, that I've actually got this desk in right now with this laptop on top of, there used to be a bed here. And on that bed was a whole host of retro electronic equipment. And over the years, I've collected many retro laptops. Some Thinkpads, I collected a Panasonic Toughbook, I've got a Compaq Armada E500, E700, E500, something like that. And years ago, I bought this, and I'm about to tell you what this is. Now, what we're going to do in this video, before we get too far into it, just to sort of temper your expectations, is all we're going to do in this video is I'm going to talk you through and around this laptop, give it a quick boot, see where it goes, and then in the next video I'm going to reinstall Windows 95 and 98, maybe 2000 on this laptop and see where that takes me. What I'm probably going to have to do is do it myself in my own time first and then do it on video afterwards, because I have no idea how well this is going to work, or rather if it's going to take any operating system to any degree. So I bought this laptop years ago. I watch a fella, you could say, on YouTube called B Bishop PCM, or Brandon Bishop. And he's got an affinity to ThinkPads. A lot of people have affinity for ThinkPads. They are well built, rugged bits of kit that before a certain era, you could literally chuck this as a frisbee and it would not break. I believe this is one of the ThinkPads that literally has a titanium chassis. Before a certain point, ThinkPads, IBM ThinkPads, had titanium chassis. Most ThinkPads still do have a metal chassis of some description, but most of them nowadays are aluminium or a zinc alloy or compound, a zinc/aluminium compound that's not quite as rugged as titanium. And also, zinc is brittle, it's made to be brittle, it's made to have crumble zones or break zones, much like your clavicle, your collarbone is made to be broken, or there are certain parts in a car that are made to crumple in to protect the driver or the passengers of the car. Much like that, nowadays most ThinkPads have a zinc alloy metal compound that's designed to break in certain places to protect the rest of the laptop, hopefully. So while watching B Bishop PCM a while ago, he showed off a laptop that stunned me, I could say. Before I talk about this laptop, I want to talk about another laptop very quickly, which is known as the IBM ThinkPad Butterfly keyboard. When you open up that laptop, the keyboard scissors out, it goes past the laptop, and it's a full quality keyboard on a laptop. It's the 101C, I think is the model number for that one. They go for an extremely pretty penny, and I mean a very pretty penny. They're quite rare, expensive, and people want them, they're sought after. I believe after the Butterfly keyboard design, IBM tried some other things with their keyboards. And while watching this B Bishop PCM video, he was showing off this exact laptop here. Now this is the IBM 760. I believe there are 3 different flavours of 760. There's the 760, the 760S, and the 760XL. This is the XL. And the difference between the 3 models is the internals. I do believe on one of those models you may get a bigger screen, but for the most part the outside is pretty much the same. The XL is by far the most well spec'd, and this is the one I have here. I actually have the XL. We're going to go through some of the ports on the outside, and then we're going to get to the main draw and I suppose some people might say gimmick of this laptop. And hopefully you can see the reason why I bought it. So if you go over the side, you've got, I believe, actually I have no idea what that is. I want to say it hides the battery, but I don't know actually what that covers up. We've got a panel there. We've got one of the lid catches. We've got the on-off switch, which is literally a switch, not a button. On the front here we have the CD drive. You can take this out and exchange it for a floppy drive or a DVD drive. We have a blank area here. On the other side we have one of the other catches. We have a Kensington lock slot. We have two PCI MCIA card slots, and I've got an adapter card in there. Not sure what that's for, what that's to. We've got a serial port for a mouse, or a PS2 port, so not serial. And on the back we have a whole host of different connectors. With a docking connector, I do believe. We've got two serial ports. I have no idea what my old serial ports are these days. A whole host of ports on the back. I can't even remember what these ports are. And then we do have a spot for the power jack. So what's there's two main gimmicks of this laptop. The first gimmick I will show you now. As you open up the laptop, I don't know if you actually noticed that, and you probably can't notice it from straight on, but if I tilt the laptop, turn the laptop, sorry, and then tilt it up, you can see the keyboard is actually raised up. If I drop the keyboard down, you can tell it becomes a lot more prominent. So what essentially IBM tried for a while is they tried different ideas with their keyboards to give them ease of use, essentially, because these are meant for the office man, the office woman, the businessman, the businesswoman, the accountant, the lawyer, those types of people who are going to be typing out a long whole essay or what have you of something, and they need something comfortable that's portable as well. And the whole point of ThinkPads back during this era was that you would buy this over a computer, and it wouldn't just be a substitute, it would be a replacement for your computer. And you have to bear in mind, this was during an era where desktop computers were prime. Laptops were not prime back then. This is what, 96, I think this laptop came out around that era. Nowadays, if you go into a shop, you're more likely to buy a laptop than you are a computer, a tower computer, and anybody who buys a tower computer tend to be enthusiasts like myself who build their own computer. Whereas nowadays, laptops are king. Back then, the desktop was king. So for a company to come out with a laptop that a career-driven person, ambitious career-driven person would like to use is pretty phenomenal, to be completely honest. Now, what I'm going to do now is show off its second feature. You can tell throughout the laptop, probably noticed already, that it's a bit rugged, it's a bit beaten up, but it's a ThinkPad for starters, and secondly, it's an old laptop, so I'm not going to hold any of that against it. I know some people would like to have these laptops in immaculate condition. I'm not too worried, to be honest. A, because I can't really afford the really expensive versions of these laptops. The second gimmick is that you can open up we actually put that all the way back. You can actually open up the keyboard like a car boot, if you will, or car bonnet, depending on where you're from, and you're allowed access to everything inside the laptop. Again, this was something that IBM pioneered back in the day, to be able to hot swap things like that's actually, I think that's the stand to keep that up or something, but it's broken. To be able to hot swap, not hot swap, but swap out rather, things like the hard disk. That's the hard disk. Inside there is the hard disk, and it's user replaceable to the point where, you know, you can buy another one of these caddies, but you can't buy just a standard hard disk. You need to buy one of these caddies. But you can hot swap the drive. So if I gently, without breaking anything, he says. Do you know what? I'm just going to leave that in there in case I break it for when I want to boot it up. But to be able to replace things like the battery, the drive, and actually this area here is where all the components are. Now this is actually quite funny, because over the years Apple laptops or MacBooks have gotten smaller and smaller, or rather the internals have gotten smaller and smaller. Back in '96, IBM were doing a very similar thing, where they pushed all of the components into one area of the laptop to give space for a nice big battery, a nice hard disk carrying your drive and stuff like that. So, you know, people say that Apple are pioneers. They are to an extent, but some other companies beat them to the punch. Believe it or not, this whole area is also replaceable. And the whole point of that is that quite often with these laptops, because they were very expensive back in the day, is you had some really good warranty from IBM. So pretty much if this had any problems with it, you sent it off to IBM and they'd replace whatever components they needed to replace. If we now put down the keyboard and I make sure that's down thoroughly, we open it back up. There is a way. Yeah, if you put down the keyboard, that locks the keyboard down. You can close the laptop and open it back up again, but it can break the keyboard, so be careful. So the last thing to do is to power on the Thinkpad. A couple of other things I'll mention is that it is a passive matrix display, if you know what that means. The volume rocker is there, it does have a readout there, an LCD readout there, and it is a standard Thinkpad with the red iconic buttons and the razor point or nipple point, as somebody would like to call it, mouse there. So we are now going to attach the power cable, which is proprietary. There was a lot of proprietary cables back in the day then. And actually I've got a bit of a story. There's another laptop I have in that cupboard behind me, which I bought because I was under the impression by the seller that the power supply that it came with two power supplies supposedly. One that would fit the 760 and one that would fit the laptop I have in the cupboard. That wasn't the case. Right, it's now plugged in and the only thing I can do is see if it powers on. We have power. We have a hard drive spinning up. We have visuals. The speakers are cracking. I'm not surprised, to be honest. Turn the brightness of the screen. Oh, it has Windows 98 on it. ScanDisk, obviously. I'm going to let ScanDisk run because this has been sat in my cupboard for years, so it's probably best I let ScanDisk run. I may have to edit out some portions of this video because I don't want any of the previous individuals' information to be on screen for obvious reasons, hopefully. I'm not going to delve too deeply into this laptop. One thing I will now say while I'm on the subject of user data is please, please, please guys, if you have a retro laptop or even a modern laptop and you wish to get rid of it or rather sell it, please either dispose of the hard disk or wipe your bloody computer. I've had 3 computers in my possession which contained damning evidence for the people involved. Now, I'm not damning in the terms that they're criminals or, you know, they're unsavoury characters, but damning from the point of view I could break their lives. I had the entire financial history of 2 individuals on an iMac. I had the complete roster or register of a... Sorry about that, guys. The camera thought it'd be a good idea to stop recording. Maybe it got enough of my babbling about. But as I was saying, please, please, please delete your personal data. Especially delete your data if you're a school or an establishment of some description. I cannot believe I've come across laptops from schools with the entire register of the school on there. I actually can't remember if this is a passive matrix or an active matrix display. Yep, the clock settings aren't correct. Surprise, surprise. So we come to our first problem, which is the mouse buttons don't seem to work. Any reason why? I don't think. Okay. So the keyboard is registering to an extent. Escape works fine. Wow, speakers aren't half bad, to be honest. Ooh. I don't think I've actually ever booted up this laptop, because I'm seeing things here that I never don't recognise, so to speak. What I'm going to quickly do, and I'm always interested to do this. I'm going to zoom you in, you guys, a little bit. I want to see what's in the recycle bin, because you can see from that there's stuff in there that it's full. And quite often, old birds work. You're looking at old birds, guys. He or she. So what what we're going to do is mouse. The mouse buttons don't work, and I don't know if I have a PS2 mouse anywhere. Yeah. So, I did say all I'd do was a first boot up, and I don't want to go too far into this laptop because obviously I can tell this does actually contain personal information from the previous user, which I probably will just expunge and keep nice here on here. And then what I'm going to do, because it actually has Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which we actually own on disc, so I may see how well this runs Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and see how this laptop operates. So this has been a precursory video on the Thinkpad 760 XL. The next video I do on this laptop will be, a bit more in depth, seeing how the laptop runs with certain things and just seeing how it behaves. I would like to try and see if I can get we know the person's name is John. So there we go, and Rach, we've got a Rach on there. Now some people turn around and say, hang on a minute, you just yelled out to the people who own this laptop. Well, there are plenty of Johns and Rachels in the world, and I'm not going any further than what you can see on the screen right now. Anyway guys, you know the spiel. Like, dislike, depending on your feelings. Give me a comment down below. If you'd like to have a discussion with me or somebody else, then please, if you'd like to stay around, press the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to receive a notification to your device of choice. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care. Take care. Take care.